Bill O'Reilly, the country is at a crossroads here. I don't know if you've had a chance to read the bill, but Congress certainly didn't have a chance to read it before they signed it and passed it. But it is, dare I use the word today, abortion. And the Congress is shouting their abortion. Meanwhile, the president's about to speak to declare a national emergency. Make sense of this.
Well, I'm curious. As far as the spending bill is concerned, what troubles you about just the actual spending from the federal government until September?
Well, it adds a whole bunch of spending. I have focused very little on the actual spending in the bill.
You just don't like it because it's permissive and no discipline.
No. It adds a lot of new spending, but in this bill, let me see if I can find it real quick. It has things in it. For instance, we can hire new border agents, but they have to help people find a place to live. You are not allowed to use any of these funds. You can now, let's see, none of the funds by this act or any other act or provided from any account in the Treasury of the United States derived from the collection of fees, blah, 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 can be used to place in detention, remove, refer for a decision whether to initiate removal proceedings or initiate removal proceedings against a sponsor, potential sponsor, or a member of a household of a sponsor, or a potential sponsor of an unaccompanied alien child.
So you can no longer use tax dollars to arrest or deport anyone who lives in the same home as an unaccompanied child that's an alien,
or could be
potentially
live in
that. I mean, that is any MS-13. They say 30 to 40% of arrests of MS-13 members are quote unquote unaccompanied alien children.
Sure.
So I mean,
look. I'm not so worried about this minutia because what I see is the long game. And that's what President Trump is doing today.
What is the long game? Please tell me the long game. Make me feel better.
Re-election of Trump. That's a long game. So Trump says, look, they got me in a corner. They kind of outsmarted me in the sense that they shut the government down. Americans overwhelmingly don't want that. They don't want that as a solution. So I got to get out of this. And I'll get out of it by signing the stupid bill and then finding money elsewhere, which he has.
Well, in the bill, it also says he can only build in the Rio Grande Valley, and it is intentionally...
but only under the bill it can. He's going to declare a state of emergency, which is going to override the bill, and basically say, I'm going to build where I want, and I got $9 billion more to do it, and here's where it comes from. He's already got it. He's already got the $9 billion. So the state of emergency that overrides the dopey bill. Everybody has to understand that.
But it overrides, or he's adding on top of it?
It overrides it because an executive action by the President of the United States declaring a state of emergency where the bills in place can be superseded to deal with that emergency. That's what a state of emergency is. That's why everybody hates it. They don't want to give the president that much power to override the legislature. But the long game is that he knows that if he just wimped away and didn't do anything, he'd lose because that 15% of the Ann Coulter right would turn on him. And he needs
I disagree with you here, Bill. I'm watching Twitter, and this may change, but I'm watching Twitter, and I'm watching the usual, border Trump, suspects that are, mad at him if he does anything like that, and they're not for this bill either. He does have another out, and that's pass a continuing resolution. Veto this and pass a continuing resolution.
I think that, again, we'll go into the long game. Number one, the Twitter mob are activists, so they don't reflect his support crew. What the Trump administration and the Obama administration, everybody does, is internal polling, that we don't see. And the internal polling, I can tell you for a fact, showed that, number one, America does not want another government shutdown. And number two, as long as the president starts to build some of the wall, that they're likely to vote for him for re-election. So that's what the internal polling showed. So that the decision was made by the Trump administration to go this way to try to get as many people in his base to basically they don't like it, but they're not going to turn on him. So that is the long game.
I want Stu to ask you a question that he asked me, and I want to hear your reaction.
Well, Bill, it looks like the national emergency would get potentially about 8% more of the wall built, which is a significant amount on a 2,000-mile border, plus the 2% that's in the bill. So it's not insignificant, and I think the border wall is a good idea. Taking out the whole thing about the precedent that the national emergency sets and everything else, this thing that we talked about briefly a minute ago, which basically says you no longer can use tax funds to arrest illegal immigrants in almost every situation. I think it encourages.
No, not almost every situation.
Yeah.
Only when minors are involved. This is a minor-driven thing.
Right. That's true.
I will tell you that it's going to be used.
Oh, it'll increase.
Smugglers.
Oh, it'll increase.
Wouldn't you?
Because every kid they can find will be stapled to an adult.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know that's going to happen.
Of course.
It incentivizes human trafficking.
It's a chess game here. So you have to step back and you have to say, what is the most effective way to defeat the permissive forces on the left who don't want any border security? They want an open border. I wrote a message of the day on BillO'Reilly.com that laid out what happened in California when the Hispanic population, Latino population, went from 3 million to 15 million. The whole state became a Democratic precinct because of that five-fold jump in Hispanics living in California. That's what happened there. It's provable. So now you have, in the nation's largest state, one-party state. That's what the Democratic Party wants to do in Arizona, in Texas, in Florida, flood the zone with as many Latinos as they can, get in here by chain migration. Remember, you get in here and you establish residency legally, you can take in 30 people. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's chain migration. Mm-hmm. So if Trump doesn't get reelected and someone like Biden or Michelle Obama wins, then our country is essentially going to change dramatically.
Yes, I agree.
Demographically, politically, economically, everything's going to change. So that the game that the Trump people are playing now is we have to stop that.
Okay, so but if you're building a wall, I know you say this is a minutia. If you're building a wall,
yes,
with this bill, it accomplishes everything the Democrats want, even if
there's no other alternative.
Yes, there is a continuing resolution.
This is a symbol of the fight. It's a symbol of the fight, like the Rubicon.
It's an expensive symbol, though.
We have to make our stand here because there's nowhere else to make the stand. Where would you make the stand? Say Trump signs the bill, as you suggested, and then does something else.
No, I don't want him to sign the bill. My problem is with the bill. My problem is with the bill because No, it doesn't. A continuing resolution. We've had one since George Bush left office. Why this push all of a sudden for this spending bill when you can just do what we've done since George Bush left office? We don't have a budget. We have a continuing resolution. So sign a continuing resolution.
He has to basically go to the Congress and either put his name on a bill or not. If he doesn't, as you suggest, then chaos breaks out. I mean, it's just all over the place. And he can't even govern because every single day there's going to be more litigation. There's going to be this, that. He's overstepped his authority. We want this. Nothing else will get done. The whole government will be paralyzed. What's happening in Great Britain with the Brexit thing?
So here's my feeling. Okay. He is going to announce a continuing resolution, and he's going to sign this bill. The bill will be implemented because everyone will be looking at the massive fight that's coming over the state of emergency, and they're going to hold that wall up every step of the way through courts. It will go to the Supreme Court. Marco Rubio just said he's not sure he could support that. I mean, it's going to be, that's all we're going to be talking about. Meanwhile, more ICE agents will be employed because they can employ another 1,200, but none of them can actually work on detaining people. According to this bill, they have to be hired to help relocate people from the border into the center of the country, wherever it is they want to go, and just catch and release. But now we're a travel agency. Now ICE is a travel agency.
Yeah, where do you want to go? We'll drive you.
We'll try. I mean, it's and that's okay, and look, so my thought is that
I think you're taking it way too literally. I don't think any of this stuff's going to happen. I don't think any ICE agents are going to help anybody relocate into the United States. They're basically going to try to wall it up in the sense that not going to let anybody in, just like they did with the caravan. All right, so the caravan shows up in Tijuana, and now they're in Texas, and there's thousands of people living in tents. Well, they're not getting in here. All right, they're not getting in here for asylum. They're not getting in here anyway because they walled it up. They basically said, we're not taking you. You're not coming in. And just for the press, we'll take 25 a day. All right, and we'll process them. That's what's going to happen here. It's the same thing. But I think that the larger picture is that Americans have a decision to make. What kind of country do you want? All right, and that's what the Trump people are playing. They're playing, look at these crazy Democrats. Look what they want to do. All right? So you can't give them power. And that's what they're gambling on in the White House. No, that message will get through.
And I think that I'm hopeful that message is going to get through because we are at the end of the republic. Back with Bill O'Reilly.
We're still awaiting the president to speak. Bill, one quick question for you because you are the author of 975 #1 New York Times bestsellers.
Thank you.
And you have another one that is sure to be #1 coming up about the president.
Yeah.
You know him better than anybody. Every time you've talked to him all the time, you always add really interesting perspective about the way he thinks. At least that's what I think. I don't know what anyone else thinks. But when it comes to this, we know the fight, it's going to be a crazy fight. Why didn't he stand like this when Republicans had control for 2 years?
Because they couldn't get a full caucus in the House because of the Freedom people to support what he wanted to do. So the Freedom, what is it? The
Freedom Caucus.
Freedom Caucus.
Okay. So they basically said, look, we're hard guys, and
you're blaming this on
what we want. And Ryan, the Speaker, couldn't coalesce. They couldn't get it. And then in the Senate, McConnell kept saying to him, look, I'm not going to get 60. So no matter what I do, whatever proposal I put out, we're not going to get 60. We're not going to be able to vote. So he's stymied in both houses.
Okay, so
nothing happens.
But it's more likely now, right? Like now the Democrats have control. At least then the Republicans.
Yeah, but now what he's going to do is not even listen to them. So I can't impress upon you enough that a state of emergency gives a president tremendous latitude to do exactly what he wants to do.
Oh, I am very well aware of that.
Yeah, though, isn't it?
But you say, okay, the Democrats are dancing around saying, okay, now when we get power, we're going to do the gun thing. But they're going to run up against constitutional issues.
On that one, they will. That will be difficult.
Yeah,
but global
warming, they won't.
Because I wrote a really brilliant column that I hope somebody read to Beck.
I did not, and I didn't ask anybody to read it.
What is this? What is this Green New Deal all about? Really, it's about totalitarianism.
Yes.
In every single country that has gone from a ruler to a dictator, the dictator phonied up some panicked thing that threw the population into this frenzy that will give away our rights and you can make it better Mussolini. Every single one. Throughout history, there's never been an exception where people voluntarily said, oh, we'd like a dictator. Come on in here, Franco, and tell us what to do. This global warming stuff, this is where we're all going to die. We're all going to die. So we have to do Green New Deal where we, the Democrats in Washington, tell you what to eat. All right, we're going to tell you what to drive. what medical procedures you can and cannot have. We're going to take your stuff after you die. We're going to take everything you have. Okay, this is totalitarianism. This isn't democracy. So they want to control the lives of Americans on every single front, and they're using climate change to frighten people in Berkeley, California, who can barely find their way to the facilities. All right, they're that dense, into supporting totalitarianism and one-party rule, which is exactly what they have in California. One-party rule. And that's what's happening, and it's frightening because it could succeed with the decline of our educational system. And by the way, the Green New Deal will tell the teacher what the teacher can teach and not teach. It extends into every single thing America has. And that's why I've sold 987,000 books, million books, because I figured this stuff out first. All right? And
well, only because you were listening to this program about 4 days ago when we said the same thing. Look, here's the thing, Bill. Here's the thing. You're absolutely correct on that. There is a growing fascistic or communistic, whatever, totalitarian view. However it shapes up, there is a totalitarian view, and the one thing you left out is the economy. If Brexit goes horribly, which I'm hoping is kind of like the hype on, Y2K, but if it goes horribly and Europe goes into the abyss, so do we, and everyone will be clamoring for a bigger government, and then we see it go away.
No, I disagree with that analysis.
Okay, good. Well, hang on. We're going to come back with more from Bill O'Reilly here in a second. I do want to tell stations that we're waiting for the president to give this speech to declare a national emergency. If he comes out during the break, go ahead and take that, and we will join it already in progress on the other side with Bill O'Reilly, but we will be taking it live. All right, we're getting ready for the president. He's expected to make declare a national emergency. Our chief researcher is in, Jason Buttrill. Jason, tell me what this. He has to use very specific language here, does he not?
Yeah, the way the law has been changed over the years, he's got to state very specifically how he's going to use the funds and how he's going to. Everything he's going to use government-wise in this national emergency. So it'll be very, very telling on, how much this can be taken advantage of or abused going forward.
We're online now with our White House correspondent from the Blaze in Washington, D.C., and John is sending us pictures that we have not seen on TV yet of all of the I want to say Gold Star moms, but they're not Gold Star, Angel moms. They have all been invited to the Rose Garden, and they have pictures of their fallen loved ones. And so there's no doubt in our mind this is where he's going. Bill O'Reilly is with us now. Bill, as we wait for the president, is there anything here that you can add to this conversation on just even declaring a national emergency?
Well, he told me he's not going to go and do it until Beck and O'Reilly were finished on the radio. So,
oh, good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm kind of excited to hear it, so maybe we should declare we're finished.
He just didn't want that kind of backlash, to knock us out off the air. The only thing I can tell you is that this is the ultimate political chess game, and there is only one objective here, and that is to get Trump back for 4 years so that he can then run wild with what he wants to do, because they're trying to implement a strategy where he would be reelected and the House would go back to the Republicans. Okay, and they want to do it by radicalizing the Democrats, and that's not real hard. the Democratic Party is. But old Joe Biden's in the race now, as I predicted and told you that he would be the front runner. And unless Michelle Obama gets in, Biden, I believe, will be the nominee with Kamala Harris on the second. And Trump could beat him, depending on the economy. So that's what's really in play on all of this stuff. You can get buried in minutia, as Beck has a tendency to do, okay? But I'm telling you that these guys, when they have the power in the White House and in Pelosi's office and in McConnell's office, they can figure out ways around this stuff, that you can do that. And it's a short-term play. It's 2020 is the vote. It's not far away. So that's what it's all about.
Minutia is obviously you can get hung up in that, but is it? Are you thinking in a somewhat minutia friendly way while saying the only goal is 2020's election?
The long-term goal is 18 months.
As you just said, that's short-term.
Look, I know this White House, as you guys know, I know it. I know it.
So that's what they're thinking.
Nobody can say, "Oh, O'Reilly's wrong." I'm not. That's the only thing on their mind now. That's it.
All right. So you're not saying
give up, or this or that. The Border Patrol is going to take somebody to 7-Eleven. They'll do it because they'll obliterate all that if they can regain power in both houses, and he gets reelected in 2020.
Does that worry you, though, as a motivation? No?
It does. What worries me is, look, I interviewed Donald Trump Jr. yesterday, all right, for the book, The United States of Trump. And he says something very astute. And he was a great interview, 1,000 times better than his father, who didn't want to tell me anything about his background. I found out anyway. But Trump Jr. said to me, I live in Manhattan. And most of my friends are liberals. And in the past, I could understand many of their positions. Now, I can't. The party has moved so far left, it's so destructive, that no longer can I even have a conversation with them.
Hang on. Here comes the
Here
president. Here comes the president of the United States.
Thanks,
Thank you, Bill.
BillO'Reilly.com is the place to go, as well as he's got the new Trump book coming up, and you can always buy all of his other ones as well.
All right. Station Suite. We are on just a bit of a delay, just a couple of seconds delay. So we are going to be taking the president, who is expected now to make declare a state of national emergency.
This is going to be it's a big moment. We're yet to see how it's going to play out. There's a huge fight as far as Democrats will definitely try to overturn this. There will also be a huge court battle, and that battle is not decided yet. It's never been tested on something like this. It does appear he can legally do this. On the other side of that, though, it has never been tested on anything even somewhat controversial. So there's a lot of wrangling to go on. Likely scenario, if he does this, he's probably still not actually starting to build the wall for quite some time.
He also, this will be the first time state of emergency has actual appropriated funds for anything. Here we go, the president.